The boy who becomes a man is not forged in laughter, nor in the fleeting warmth of comfort. He is tempered in silence, shaped by command, beaten like steel on the anvil of obedience. Feelings drift like dust across the desert wind, but discipline roots itself like the oak planted by rivers of living water. The path begins in wilderness, not in banquet halls. Israel wandered 40 years because they would not learn the discipline of trust. A boy follows his hunger. A man follows his vow. The manna fell, yet many grumbled. The water flowed from the rock, yet many doubted. So the bones of the undisciplined whitened in the sand, while only those hardened in obedience crossed the Jordan. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Proverbs, chapter 22, verse 6. A boy trembles at the shadow of Goliath. A man, covenant-bound, runs forward with sling in hand. A boy hides his candle. A man trims the lamp at midnight, oil burning, eyes fixed on the bridegroom's coming. A boy speaks his feelings. A man seals his mouth with silence and his oath with blood. The fig tree yields only if rooted deep. The vineyard does not grow sweet by desire, but by pruning. The olive does not release oil until it is crushed beneath the press. So too must a boy be pressed, cut, and trained until he no longer moves by impulse, but by oath. If the Lord called you to stand today, stripped of all comfort, would you stand or break? This is the first strike. Let it pierce deeper than the blade of flesh, for the oath is heavier than the heart. David did not wait until he felt ready to fight. At 13, he lifted a sword larger than his arm and stepped into battle. He chose covenant over fear, discipline over desire. At that age, he killed a lion. At that age, he struck down a man twice his size. Not because he was strong, but because he was sworn. The valley of dry bones shows no feeling, only dust. Yet at the word of the Lord, bone joined to bone, sinew to sinew, breath filled hollow lungs, and they rose an army. You are not asked if you feel alive. You are commanded to live. Not a boy carried by emotion, but a warrior bound by discipline. The oath is the fire in Gethsemane, where sweat fell as blood and obedience bore its weight. The oath is the stone tablets carved by the finger of God, not erased by the trembling of hearts. The oath is the cross lifted on torn shoulders, every step forward saying, "Not my will, but thine." The boy who clings to feelings will be lost in the storm. The man who clings to discipline will walk on the waves. The oath is sacred, not your feelings. The wilderness does not flatter the untrained. It strips the boy of illusions until only the man remains. For 40 days Christ fasted in the desert, not because his flesh desired hunger, but because obedience demanded silence. The adversary offered bread, kingdoms, deliverance from pain. A boy would have yielded to appetite, pride, and fear. But the son stood immovable, wielding only the word. It is written. Discipline does not bargain with temptation. It strikes clean as the two-edged sword, separating bone from marrow, thought from intent. Feelings plead for ease, but discipline binds you to the altar. Isaac did not walk because he felt safe. He walked because obedience led him up the mountain. Abraham did not raise the knife because he felt strong. He raised it because the vow commanded it. A boy runs when the furnace glows 7 times hotter. A man steps inside declaring, "We will not bow." Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, bound and thrown, yet freer than kings, for the Son of Man walked with them in the fire. Discipline outlives the flames. The vow burns brighter than the furnace. What sin, what chain, still holds your sword arm from striking? This is the second strike. Do not soften it with excuses. Do not cover it with tears. The chain you refuse to name will be the chain that drags you to ruin. look to the watchtower at midnight. The boy grows weary, his eyes heavy, his mind wandering. The man fixes his gaze on the horizon, for the enemy moves in silence, and one moment of slumber can burn a city. You are called to stand the night, to keep the watch, to endure until the trumpet sounds. The fig tree bears fruit only through seasons of pruning. So must you accept the knife of discipline. Every cut is mercy. Every wound is training. Without pruning, the branch rots. Without pruning, the fruit dies. Joseph's prison was the classroom of kingship. Jeremiah's pit was the training ground of prophecy. Paul's chains were the forge of hymns. Discipline is never wasted. It carves boys into pillars, servants into leaders, wanderers into watchmen. The boy flees from silence, the man kneels within it. Elijah in the cave did not find God in the wind, the quake, or the fire, only in the still, small voice. Discipline trains you to wait through the storm until the whisper comes. The oath is the shield against fear, the helmet against despair, the breastplate against shame. The boy wears none of these and is cut down. The man binds them to his frame, and though the battle rages, he stands unbroken. The heavens do not bend to the tears of man. The sun will not pause its burning course because your heart feels weary. The moon will not soften its face because your will trembles. Stars are held in place by the hand of the Almighty, not by the frailty of flesh. And prophecy declares a day when they will fall, when the sky itself will roll back like a scroll, and the oath of God will stand revealed before every eye. The boy prays for the storm to pass. The man learns to walk upon the waves. The boy cries for the fire to end. The man forges his soul within its heat. Discipline does not wait for calm skies. It sails through chaos, hand fixed to the mast, oath nailed into the wood. And I saw heaven opened, and behold a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. Revelation, chapter 19, verse 11. The scroll with 7 seals did not yield to angels, elders, or creation's yearning. It opened only to the Lamb who bore the oath of blood. Every seal broken was a trumpet of discipline, every judgment a sword of obedience. Heaven moves not by sentiment, but by decree. The boy seeks applause, the man seeks the torn veil. The boy longs for the market's noise. The man kneels in the temple courts, hearing only the voice that shook Sinai and whispered in Gethsemane. The trumpet will sound, summoning armies, not because they feel ready, but because the command has gone forth. White horses, robes dipped in blood, swords drawn in silence. The boy waits for courage. The man rides in obedience. Look upon the potter's house. Clay is broken, reshaped, pressed, remade. The boy resists the hand and cracks. The man yields, and in yielding becomes unbreakable. Do not mistake the silence of God for absence. It is the midnight watch. The oil runs low, lamps flicker, and the cry will ring. Behold, the bridegroom comes. Only those trained in discipline will rise trimmed and ready. The boy sleeps. The man stands. The flood came swift, the ark sealed, the waters rose. The cries of men availed nothing, for they had mocked the building of obedience. Discipline built the ark, feelings drowned in the deep. The oath is not ink, it is stone, fire, blood, covenant. It stands when kingdoms fall, when mountains crumble, when skies are torn. The oath carves the boy into a warrior, the wanderer into a watchman, the trembling into the faithful. And when the heavens open, the rider descends, clothed in fire, crowned with many crowns, and his name written where no man can read but himself. Behind him rides the army of heaven upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, pure and white, banners blazing with the seal of the living God. The earth will tremble. The nations will weep. The powers of darkness will shatter like clay beneath the rod of iron. And in that hour, it will not be the strength of your arm, nor the shout of your lips that declares your place. It will be the scars you bore in silence, the cross you carried when no one saw, the obedience you forged when the night was longest. Hell will remember your name with fear. Heaven will record it in light. So stand, soldier of Christ. Let the trumpet find you watchful. Let the gates open to find you faithful. Let the rider see you ready, your armor battered but unbroken, your soul tempered like steel. And here falls the final strike. When the trumpet sounds and the heavens blaze with fire, will you be counted among the faithful, or cast aside with the fallen? For the end is not defeat. The end is conquest. And those who endure to the end shall stand with the armies of heaven, clothed in white forevermore.